Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time today to join us for the 2019 OWHE webinar series. Before we get started with today's webinar, I wanted to share with you a few things. So my name is Cherise and I'm the OWHE Director of Education. And one thing that I really love about OWHE Education is that what we're trying to do is have education all year long for members. So things to know about what we do with OWHE Education is that every month we have free monthly webinars, such as the one you're watching right now. And one of the things that I really appreciate is that you can watch the webinars with folks at your institution. Some people actually gather together and rent out a space and watch the webinar and talk about it together. And I think this is a great way to connect to other OWHE members. Another professional development opportunity for you would be to propose a webinar to share your knowledge and experience on a topic. We do have a proposal review process that goes through the OWHE Education Committee, and it's a great way to just be able to share what you know and connect to other OWHE folks, which is super fun. The second thing I wanted to talk to you about is the Write for OWHE. So we have a great OWHE blog that's been around since 2010. You can read the OWHE blog for some of the amazing bi-weekly posts we've had over the last year, but also go back to 2010 and see what people have written about. It's pretty cool. You can write for OWHE, so just submit a proposal and we'll work with you on a time and date for the OWHE proposal when you want to write for us. And then of course there's Dear OWHE, which you are able to submit an anonymous question about work and any sort of challenges or anything you have, and you can ask questions and the OWHE Board of Directors will do their best to answer them authentically. The last one is one of my favorite things, which is the OWHE Book Club. So essentially I love books, so it's a really cool thing to do. You can join the Facebook group. We have different posts up there, sharing books, sharing about what you're reading, encouraging one another to read. You can join us on Goodreads. So Goodreads is a really good way to connect to people about books and talk about books and see book recommendations, even what people rate their books. And then of course you can read the 2019 OWHE Book Club picks, which are, there's 12 of them, one for every month. And it's a great way to just read good literature. The last thing I wanted to share is that you can start a book club at your school. So one of the reasons we have the 2019 OWHE Book Club picks is so that you can actually choose one of those books and read it with people or your neighbors or your sisters or brothers, whoever you want to read with. Just take time to read together and share with us what you learn or what you think about. So with that, I actually wanted to start getting our webinar started because we have other OWHE members here that are OWHE board members here. So today we're going to talk about the Board of Elections, or OWHE Board of Elections. And so each of us will kind of go through our different positions that are open and share with you what we'll do. So today, this is the board from this last year. I'm going to share the top 5 reasons to run for the board. You can learn about the open positions of the board, and then you can ask questions of the outgoing or continuing board members. So we really want you. So we're so glad that you took time to log in and listen to us. But we really think that the board is comprised of valuable members just like you. Being a board member has been amazing for me personally. And we just really encourage you to consider what sort of diverse perspectives and ideas you can bring to this organization. So since I got to start out here, I wanted to share my top 5 reasons to run for the OWHE board. The first thing is it's a challenge. You can run for a position of something that you're not as comfortable with or you do have experience with, but it's a challenge to try and see how you do. You could have the opportunity to move OWHE towards becoming a more inclusive and engaged community. If you've attended the last few conferences, you know we're really working on trying to create a more inclusive space and community year-round. And so you could be part of that. You'll also have an opportunity to learn from other folks on the board. That's been one of the best parts. I've had 2 different boards I've been a part of, and the people you meet are just amazing. And then you can work on honing skills in new areas. So if you run for the business operations, for example, you'd really learn a lot about finance and different responsibilities there. And the last one I just had to throw in is that it's fun. So being part of the board is a really great opportunity. Even when you're at the conference doing so much work, it's such a great, fun experience. So I would really just encourage you, like, these are some reasons. So think about it. And with that, I'm actually going to hand it over to Erica.
Thank you. So, hi, I'm Erica Curry. I am the active chair of the board this year and next. And I'm talking about the role of incoming chair of the board. So, the way that we've structured chair of the board is we'll have incoming for the first year, and then you'll be active the second year and past chair the third year. So, all incoming chair appointments are for 3 years. And next slide, please. So, incoming chair of the board, I wanted to say a bit about what it is. And again, this is the first year we're going to be having an incoming chair of the board. So, it's really flexible and we get to define what it is. And so, hopefully, a high tolerance of ambiguity is a great thing to have when you're doing this. So, we'll be sketching this out as we go. But some of the things that being chair of the board specifically has looked like is designing the annual retreat, leading the institutional reps, and supporting each other, or each of the directors through one-on-ones, connecting with the American Council of Education's Women's Network, and which is what OWHE, that's our parent group, and then serving or setting up board of director meetings, and then also overseeing the Excellence Awards Committee. Next slide, please. All right, so here are some details about incoming chair of the board. So year one, you're incoming, and the time commitment, and these are all estimates based on where I put most of my time in the last year. So year one, you're doing 4 to 6 hours monthly, and then as we're gearing up for the conference, you'll do a bit more. Year two, you spend a few more hours monthly, and then right before the conference, there's a lot of work, and if you are smarter than me and you don't plan a big trip right before the conference, you might be able to spread that time out more and it will be a little less concentrated. And then year three, we still haven't really determined yet. One idea that we've been discussing is putting together an advisory board, women and gender minorities in leadership positions at different institutions around Oregon. And the past chair would then be the liaison between that advisory board and the board of directors, the active board of directors. Another thing that's changing with this model is, so prior involvement with OWHE, and so that you can really understand the mission and vision and values and our membership and just the sense of OWHE, having that prior involvement is really helpful and is definitely preferred for a chair application, but previous time on the board is not required. And this is because you get a lot of time to learn, you get a whole year to learn what it looks like to be part of the board and how the board operates, and how all this comes together. And as somebody who went straight into active chair after never being on the board, I have a lot of lessons learned that I can share, and I feel like I have a great perspective to help mentor whomever is incoming chair on what that looks like. And go ahead, next slide, Cherise. Thank you. So being chair of the board has been this incredible learning opportunity for me, and some of the places that I get a lot of my inspiration from in this role is following and personalizing and sharing a vision that supports professional development, equity, and feminism. I wake up every morning knowing that I'm part of an organization that's making a difference and that's serving Oregon, and that's a really incredible feeling. And so then, but the other thing that really gets me inspired is watching the team succeed and create amazing things. So, with OWHE, with chair of the board, you're leading leaders. So these folks are just incredible. The board is these incredible humans that have brilliant ideas and make incredible things happen. And so that inspires me every day. And every time, if anybody interacted with me at the conference, for me, I think the biggest high was just seeing all these things that we had talked about actually come to fruition because of the hard work of members on the board. And as chair of the board, you're helping kind of connect all of the ideas and all the different things that are happening in the different subunits to all come together to one. And you're also helping support the directors when there's a lot of things happening. That's when you dig in and you say, all right, what can you give me? How can I help? And that's really the role of chair in my mind. You're also helping support the prioritization of the board every year. So we have the board retreat, we list a bunch of things that we want to get accomplished, and we come up with what we actually want to do over the year. And so you get to help kind of narrow that down and also keep those things moving forward. Next slide, please. So if you love leading, then incoming chair of the board might be the right fit for you. And if you're part of this webinar, you love leading because you're running for a board of directors. hopefully. And so I want to encourage you, if you don't feel like you are ready, if you don't feel like you have the right to be chair of the board, I'm going to say that is wrong. And I invite you to be chair of the board and apply for chair of the board, because you are ready and you will get ready, and I will be there to mentor you. The whole, as Cherise mentioned, we all work so closely together, and we learn so much from each other that you're constantly developing and growing as you're part of the board. And that growth, I feel so much more prepared to be chair of the board this year than I did last year, just because of all the things that I learned from our members, our board, and I continue to learn, and from our members. And so I highly encourage you to be willing to embrace that growth opportunity. And then I'm going to hand it over. Oh, if you're still hesitating, or you have any questions, you want to know more, you can email me and we can set up a time to chat, or we can just talk via email. So you can email me at erica.curry@oregonstate.edu or at chair@OWHE.org. And I am happy to answer any questions. I'm happy to review application materials. I'm happy to support in whatever way that I can. Now I'm going to hand it over to Brenna.
Thank you. Hello. Thanks everyone for being here. My name is Brenna. I am obviously the co-director of the annual conference. I met a lot of you at the most recent one, which was really awesome. So hopefully you're here listening on how to make future years awesome by being involved yourself. Leah Grice is the co-chair this year, but she couldn't make the webinar today. So you will be hearing from me the whole time. Cherise, next slide. So this role is, this is my first year being on the board for the role, and this is actually the first year that it is a co-director role. It used to just be one person for 2 years, and I really think the sort of co-director sharing component is really awesome and helps. It's a little less scary walking in, having that sort of mentor type role, like Erica mentioned, along with the incoming chair. So having Leah there to help me, and then for next year having me there to help you, and then so on and so forth, has been a really great way to step into this without being like, oh my God, what am I doing? Am I going to screw everything up? So I really appreciated that. So the point of our role is to just create this spectacular annual conference experience for our members, really through collaborating, encouraging everybody else to kind of like helping them with their parts, and then organizing some of the logistics. So what does that look like? Thanks. This, every year it's working with the resort. So Salishan this year, in previous years, the Sun River Resort, etc. Just on the details. So getting food figured out, the audiovisual, reserving the rooms, doing the contracts, stuff like that. And being kind of the go-between between the board and the conference. So communication there, organizing a lot of the components. So that would be the WISE Professionals panel, the keynote, and other things that need organization. Our programming changes every year, which is awesome. We get to try new things or hone or improve things. So, supporting that and making sure everything kind of gets executed well. Making sure the programming aligns with our values, just kind of some governance and oversight there along with the rest of the board. Obviously that wouldn't just be up to you, but definitely having that eye of like, is what we're doing in alignment with the values and the goals of OWHE. Supporting, so the entire board and their volunteers have a lot of different parts in the conference, which is really great, because if one person had to be in charge of it, that would be like 3 full-time jobs. So it's really great that, for example, Erica as the board organized the awards part, and she organized the, now I don't remember. The caucus breakfast, sorry. And so having everybody have their different parts is really great, and it means you're just kind of communicating with them and making sure that they have everything that they need and everything's going smoothly. Overall conference structure, so just understanding the schedule and reservations and all that. And then every 2 years we switch sites. So next year we'll be figuring out where we're going to be for the following biennium. So that's fun. We get to kind of look around and see what sorts of organizations, resorts can fit us and would be a good location for our future resorts. So that's just kind of a year in the life of that I have found so far as the co-director. Okay, next slide. Thanks. So time commitment, I put 3 to 5 hours per week. I think it's generally a little lower than that actually throughout the kind of in the low season. But then once we get to December, maybe the end of November, and then of course January, it picks up a little bit because there's a lot of that last minute coordination and, you know, working with the panelists, working with the keynote. So it does pick up then. So knowing that those months or two, especially January, will be busy is really important. Just some general challenges include that time commitment. Again, juggling that. There's a lot of things that maybe I could have done sooner, but a lot of it is just we can't do a lot until we get closer to the time. Communicating with, you know, this panel of people who've never met each other. That was a bit of a challenge for me that I ran to this past year. And so, yeah, I learned a lot from that. Keeping the audience in mind, but still making it yours. So I've had a lot of experience, for example, with the women in tech community. And so I was able to bring in a lot that I had learned from working with those conferences into OWHE while still making sure we are, you know, aligning with the OWHE values. So it was really cool to say like, oh, hey, what about this idea? And, you know, the board liked it or didn't like it, or we talked about it and changed it. And so it was really cool to be able to add that leadership. And then I would definitely recommend establishing ahead of time. It was really great for Leah and I to kind of know, oh, this part's my job, I'm doing the panel and you're doing this. And so it made it a lot easier. You know, we weren't duplicating work and we remained in very close communication with one another. So that was very helpful. And I would of course be doing that with the next co-director, which could be you. Next slide. So inspiration for me, I really love being a connector and creating opportunities for other people to develop in their careers, to meet new people. And so if you like doing that, it's so fulfilling, like just being at the conference and watching, you know, this group of people at the conference or in a session have these really great conversations, knowing that I contributed to that. That's one of the reasons I love planning events. Even though some of the other event planning things are less fun. So then running an event focused on all of the things, so professional development and equity and feminism and et cetera, all the things that OWHE stands for all year long kind of comes to fruition in this one weekend. And it's so powerful to say like, oh my God, like we made this happen. Watching others get inspired is always a big inspiration for me. So I love facilitating that when I can. And then of course, seeing good ideas come to fruition. Everyone on the board has these fabulous ideas and they've created their own, their own roles based on what awesome people they are. And so at the conference, just watching all this come to fruition is a really great reason to be involved here. Next slide. So if you love coordinating and all the other things I've talked about, or at least like some of them, I think, yeah, it would be really fantastic for you. Join the board. I'm here to mentor you. Other people have been involved. This conference has been going for almost 30 years. And so it's kind of scary, but, we have our, the basics down so far. And so if you feel slightly intimidated, just know it's really, there's great mentorship, great partnerships with the board. We have the basic conference logistics. It's pretty formulaic by now, but then that leaves room for you to add your creativity and your ideas, along with just, making sure the general coordination parts happen well, which was not as overwhelming as I expected. I was a little scared to step into this role, as I think I mentioned at the conference this past year, and I didn't really think I was qualified, but then I got in there and realized, oh yeah, like this is really fun. The community, and especially the board, is super supportive and helpful, and I didn't feel like I was, the new kid who didn't know what they were doing after, a month or two. So yeah, I would recommend anybody giving it a shot if you are an organized person or somewhat organized. And yeah, it's really fun and I think you'll learn a lot. Oh yeah, and then if you have questions, you can also just email conference@owhe.org and we will respond and get back to you. Oh, and there's Leah and the reason that she can't make today. It's very cute. Cool. Thanks.
Awesome. Hey everyone, my name is Jessica Chi. I'm the Director of Business Operations. And so that's a pretty fancy title, but essentially I manage all the financial and fiscal operations of OWHE. And one of the greatest things about that is I don't know how many people know, but even though our conference has been going on for over 30 years, the board in the way that it's formed right now has only been around since 2010. And so it's really grown past the conference, which is one of our main missions, right? How do we continue year-long engagement with our members? And so we've developed a lot of new programs and initiatives, which are all really exciting, but they all need funding to do those things, right? And so I think something that drives me about this position is the ability to make sure that our organization is in a financially healthy place so that we can put on more programs, do more initiatives, and take OWHE to the next level. Next slide, please. So Director of Business Operations, again, it's about supporting ongoing OWHE programs and initiatives. This role is responsible for all budget, fiscal, and internal operations of the organization. And so what that really looks like is setting our budget, managing our bank account, credit card purchases, dispersing any funds and reimbursements. As far as responsibilities for the annual conference, this position oversees the registration process. We secure sponsorships for the annual conference, and we also manage the scholarship fund that we give to attendees. So we definitely, again, thinking about, since our conference is one of the our main revenues as an organization, that's kind of how we sort of get involved with making sure that we're making money off of the conference so that we can do all the wonderful things in OWHE that benefits our members. And then lastly, filing appropriate taxes and maintaining our 501c3 status as a nonprofit organization. So that would fall under the business operations role. And again, if any of this sounds overwhelming, please know that I have documented everything. You will get a folder with all of the things, step-by-step instructions. I'm happy to meet with folks if people have questions, but you're in really great hands, and you're going to be I'll be passing off a lot of historical knowledge, and so you're not going to be starting from scratch. Next slide, please. So time commitment is about 2 to 3 hours per week during the year. And again, like everybody said, there always is a little bit more work to do ramping up towards the conference. Another sort of high season for this role is preparing for the summer board retreat, and you would work really closely with the chairs for that. And then tax season, as we're filing taxes right now. So those are kind of the high times for this position. Some challenges or suggestions that I would have for folks coming into this role is, like I said, we're really trying to expand our programming and our initiatives so that we can engage members all year long in lots of different areas. Cherise has been wonderful expanding sort of the education component with our webinars, our writing for OWHE, and our book club. We've started the caucuses. We would love to do more meetups. We have institutional reps who would love to do some more programming at their own institutions. All of those things are going to require OWHE to have the funding to support that. So I think this would be a really great opportunity for somebody who's interested in fundraising and creating those sponsorship, partnership opportunities, so that we can continue to do the amazing things that we would like to do as an organization. This position would be great opportunity for anyone who's looking to gain more finance, budgeting. These skills are very transferable, especially as you advance within the field of higher education. I think that's one of the many skills that top leadership looks for. And so this would be a great place to get some of that. And it's perfect for anyone who loves spreadsheets and is extremely organized. It's definitely not a must. You don't have to be, but if you are like that, I think this position would be a really great fit for you. Next slide. Awesome. So my inspiration is obviously contributing to the financial health and long-term longevity of this organization. I have really enjoyed my time being on the board. It's been a wonderful and fulfilling experience. I think a lot of people have mentioned, the support that we give each other, and really being able to follow through as a board has been really wonderful. And I've been a part of 4 different configurations of the OWHE board, and all of them have been amazing. And so I can tell you that the legacy of this board is really important to me. And so I think it inspires me to know that I've, made an impact on making sure that this organization can run for a really long time. Also, I love when I'm, finding sponsors for our conference is to really develop relationships and partnerships with outside organizations and other nonprofit organizations, other educational organizations that share our mission. And so it's really great to be developing those relationships and partnerships. And it's also, again, trying to create creative ideas to fundraise and to continue to find different pathways for us to be able to expand our programming. And again, like I've mentioned, it's an awesome time to sort of deepen our budgeting and finance skills. So for anybody who's looking for that particular skill set. Next slide. Cool. So if you love organizing and you want budgeting skills, you love spreadsheets, all of those things, operations is definitely something I hope that you consider. Next slide. That's my contact information. If you have any questions about just even being on the board in general or this particular role, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk with anybody and give everybody a rundown. And again, I've documented a lot of what this role looks like and entails, so you'd be in really great hands. And you also have a lot to expand in the role, I think. So I've done a good job, I think, of setting out some foundations, but I'm hoping that the next person in this role can really take that and run with it. So please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.
All right, so I'm Cherise. Once again, I'm the Director of Education here and have been for the past 2 years. So the thing I like about my role, well, essentially this is my favorite quote. So education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And this is really inspiring to me, and I think just thinking about why I'm in the role I'm in, why I'm in the career field I'm in, is all because of education and just because of how I think it has an opportunity to change what's happening. And I see that within OWHEs too. There's so many opportunities throughout the year you can do and work with amazing people. So I find it to be the perfect role for me. So within the role of Director of Education, the main thing is that your job is just to work on continuing education topics for OWHE members. So while I've been in the role, it's looked like this. So I facilitate monthly webinars, I manage the OWHE blog, lead the OWHE Education Committee, review all session or conference session proposals, and then lead and encourage participation in the OWHE Book Club. But the reality of being Director of Education is that it's a very flexible, creative sort of position. If you like flexibility and creativity, do it. Like, run to be the Director of Education, because the reality of education is that it's always changing and it's adapting to what people need and what OWHE members need. And so I think I look to inspiration from Chrysanthemum Hayes was somebody I worked with on the OWHE board who told me to like envision the Director of Education as if I never knew what it was. If I didn't know what this role was, what would it be? And so with talking to people who are interested in this position, I've already heard amazing ideas. And if you have those ideas, like the things listed on this slide are still available to you, but I would encourage you, if you run for this position, to think beyond what I did, what my predecessor did, and just think about what sort of things you could provide and how you could use your skills and abilities to enhance the educational offerings for Oregon women in higher education. The deets, so like the details for OWHE education, the time commitment, and this is all based on my personal work style and what I decided to do. So I usually spent 4 to 5 weeks doing OWHE. Part of it's because I loved it and there were a lot of things to do and I got super creative about things. And that was pretty much like the entire time I'd be doing that. When I first started my role, it was definitely my Friday night activity because I was trying to figure it out and I was super interested in what I was doing. But that's going to vary person to person. So I just wanted to mention that. Like, it will vary based on what you decide to do and how you end up delegating. The big time commitment is really during conference proposal review in October. And the timing for that can be negotiated in July at the board retreat. And if you're coming in, and you are the incoming Director of Education, I would encourage you to talk to me about that a little bit. But really, there is a big time commitment for that, but it's also incredibly doable. And I think within the role of Director of Education, you do want to be doing the conference proposal review because it can really help enhance what you do the next year to continue and make things amazing. Some of the challenges and suggestions, I would say delegation can help OWHE education so much better. I personally I'm interested in everything. So I got excited to dabble in pretty much everything. And I got my OWHE education committee to help me out with different things. But there's ways that you could probably do more as Director of Education and have more small committees or people working on different initiatives, which is totally doable. And quite frankly, it gives people who want to volunteer a chance to have more professional development for themselves. So like I said, I said you can get more done and then you could utilize the awesome committee. Running the OWHE Education Committee was one of my favorite parts. Being able to work with those people throughout the last year and just learn from them and meet them and talk to them about what we were doing and think of big ideas and see some of them come to fruition and see some of them not quite come to fruition and be able to talk about why. I think it's just a great learning and growth experience that I have absolutely loved. So my inspiration, really, so I'm a learner when I do the strengths quest, and learning and growth is the core of your role with OWHE with this role. There, you know, as with all roles, there's feedback we get from different people, and you get to get feedback from people that's sometimes positive, sometimes negative, regarding different webinars or sessions. And I actually think it's a great opportunity to be able to take that feedback and learn how to navigate some of the conversations that come out of that, and be able to figure out how better ways to support people. So I think that's a huge part of it. Get lost in the written word. So I really got into the OWHE book club. So the book thing and the book nook that happened at the conference was probably one of my favorite little initiatives. But I think it's really great because I've been able to connect to people that I met at the conference that I knew through the Facebook group. Or one time I ran into somebody in Vancouver, BC, at a conference who was also part of the OWHE book club online. So it's really cool to be able to connect to people through books. And if you are a person who likes books, it's a great thing. I would also say connecting with others' learning goals and working to create better educational opportunities for all OWHE members is just, I find it super inspiring. As a learner and as somebody who focused so much on learning, being able to think about how we can grow as an organization and how what we offer helps to move us forward is super inspiring as a whole. So essentially, if you love learning, OWHE Education might be the right fit for you. And if you're still hesitating and you're not sure about it, you can call or email me. My email is cherise@uoregon.edu, and then there's my phone number. And I would just encourage you to email me, call me, make an appointment, and we can chat about it, because I've absolutely loved my 2 years of experience, and I would encourage anyone who's interested to consider doing it as well. With that, I'm actually going to give it back over to Erica.
All right, thank you. So I've got some things for everyone who is on the board. This is kind of applies to all board members. And so all board members are responsible for supporting and executing our mission, vision, and living our values, supporting the annual conference, attending all the board meetings, which are just an hour-long conference call during the workday once a month. We have our board retreat that's usually over a weekend in June or July that we schedule once the elections are finished, and then we all find a time that works for us. There's also then regular check-in meetings with the chair, which can be monthly or bi-weekly, just kind of depending on the individual. And then we also have conference check-ins right around the start of the conference. We have like one extra board meeting, and then you have your subcommittee meetings as well. And one thing I wanted to kind of touch on was that institutions will be asked to support board members' involvement through time released for meetings, participation in the annual conference, and then the cost related to traveling and attending the conference and the board retreat. OWHE does provide hardship grants for board members who are unable to obtain institutional support to attend the annual conference and or summer retreat. So really we're asking that you have a conversation with your supervisor prior to applying for the board to just get them on board with supporting you. But also recognizing that that's not necessarily a barrier, because we do offer those hardship grants. But being able to have time during the day and have that approved to hop on the conference call is really helpful. And I mean, I had to, when I was getting ready for the retreat, ask my supervisor if I could just take 2 hours a day to focus on OWHE for like the week going up to the conference, because I couldn't get it all done between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. or 6 and 10 p.m. So please know that is something that you can talk to and if you want any help kind of drafting a case to put forward to your leadership, feel free to reach out to me or anyone on the board. We're happy to kind of help you navigate through drafting that. And the next slide, please. So another element that I wanted to touch on was representation. So the board ultimately exists to serve our members and keep the mission and vision of OWHE moving forward and create programming that supports all of our diverse members. If you feel that an intersection of your identity is not currently well represented, we really encourage you to apply. Representation is a really big priority for the board, and to communicate this and encourage this prioritization to all of our members during this election cycle, we've added a new question to the application that will be shared on the ballot going out to members around this topic, and we're also trying to include it in all of our advertisements for the election cycle. So we're hoping to kind of make that really prevalent in the minds of our members as well. Next slide. Last, I wanted to end on a quote from Michelle Obama. Just try new things. Don't be afraid. Step out of your comfort zone and soar, all right? And I feel like we had 2 years ago a Wise Women panelist who said, I had a year of yes, and I just said yes. And my thing was to be brave. And I don't think I realized at the time how much that got into my soul, and I just started saying yes. And I said yes to being chair of the board and applying, and it was one of the best things that I've ever done for myself professionally. And it wasn't an easy year all the time, but it was so developmental and so valuable. And it'll be even better because now whomever's coming in will have a mentor. But also you can have or any role you're in the board, you'll be supported and mentored through your development process as well. So step out of your comfort zone and do it. All right, next slide. If you want to learn more or you're ready to apply, go to OWHE.org/elections. If you just go to OWHE.org, it's also in our main menu on the far right. The deadlines is in a week, March 8th at 11:59 p.m. So again, if you want any feedback, get those application materials to us, and we're happy to provide any support that we can. Next slide. And so with that, we wanted to open it up for questions. And you can also contact us, just the entire board at board@OWHE.org. But feel free to type any questions you have in the chat.
I guess we're so thorough. We answered everybody's questions.
Or people are just taking some time to type, you know. Oh, more about the board retreat. Absolutely. So last year we met, we got an Airbnb right off the beach near Salishan that we could check out, because none of us had ever been to Salishan before. So we wanted to be close to Salishan. And we came in, and the first night we went through like the bylaws and read up on that. We played a lot of board games in the evenings as kind of mental break time. We also, we made meals together, and that was really nice. But then we did everyone did a different presentation on an equity topic. And then we went through each of our roles and kind of hashed out what those looked like and what things we wanted to accomplish in the coming year. And then we talked about the actual conference and the theme and some things that we wanted to accomplish. And this is when we really started talking about like the feedback from the conference as well, and the things that we got from that.
Yeah, I would just add the board retreat is really an opportunity for new folks to transition into their roles, right? Mm-hmm. So you're newly elected, we go to the retreat, you get an idea of how your position might look like for the year, and it's an opportunity for the board to plan for the following year. So that includes all of the programs and initiatives that you're thinking about related to your position. That includes the conference. And so we use that time to transition folks into their new positions, utilizing the current members on the board, plan for the following year, and do some team building and just some bonding as a board.
Yeah, I'll follow up with, I didn't know any of these like strange new people, and I'm pretty shy, and so it was hard for me to be like, okay, I'm going to be trapped in a house with 6 other people I've never met over the weekend. But it was a really great way to like actually get to know people more than just like, oh, let's meet over coffee for a few minutes, or the monthly board meetings that we have. So we actually had time to get to know like who each other were and what we hope to bring. We each had these little presentations that we did for talking for 20 minutes or so about like an equity topic, and so I got to learn the things that people are passionate about, and providing we actually have that space for ideas and for learning about each other, which you don't really get for, during a board meeting, for example, because there's just not enough time. So it was a really great way to get thrown into like, oh, this is who the people are going to be working with. Now I know how to work with them even better. So yeah, it was set up awesome, because it was a lot of work because we did so much OWHE based programming, but it was also like getting to understand who each other were.
Yeah, I'll add real quickly. I think the board retreat is super inspiring because it allows, like, as far as my role in the handoff, like whoever comes in, I'll be handing off certain things that are going to set you up, until that board retreat, so that you could continue with kind of what does exist. And then the board retreat actually really gives, and depending how facilitated, gives the opportunity for you to think and create and kind of envision how you want it to go moving forward. And there's a lot of discussion about program, like it's been discussion a lot about the conference beforehand, but you could definitely have discussions about programming that you saw and what you'd like it to be, and kind of work with the board to move forward on that. And it's just a super cool opportunity.
I would agree with all of that.
Hi, this is Rebecca. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I have two questions, a short question and then a more in-depth question. So short question, is one able to apply for more than one position, and would you recommend that?
Absolutely. You're more than welcome to apply for more than one position. And one of our current board members actually 1 year applied, I think, for every position that was open. So it's absolutely endorsed, and you're more than welcome to do so.
Okay, cool. And then I was also wondering, as board members, what ways have you seen OWHE grow as an organization in your time?
I can answer that. This is Jessica. I think I'm the longest standing board member. So the board has grown a lot. And so in a lot of ways. So we used to just only be about the conference. And so when I came into the board in 2015, we were really talking about how do we do year-long engagement. And so we really expanded things like the webinars that Cherise has been doing. Cherise introduced the book club and all the different writing topics for the blog. It used to be just sort of a highlighting of different women in our field, but now there's lots of different topics people can write about and submit that. So I think we're looking both for like active and passive ways that our members can get engaged throughout the year, and to have folks really start building a community that is supportive of them and their professional goals. I think we have some more bigger and long-term ideas that we would love to do, but we just haven't gotten there yet. So I think this is also a great opportunity to be who's thinking kind of big vision, big picture. I would also say that, you know, our conference has also really shifted in terms of its purpose and our focus. I think we are very intentional now about equity and representation than we had been in the past. And, you know, our conference, when it first started out, was really about the presidency and how can women get to be presidents of higher ed institutions. And while, yes, we have some of our members who are at that level, we also recognize that many of us do different things within the field of higher education, or even the field of education itself, right? And how can we support each other's professional development, whatever stage that we're at, and whatever our professional goals are. So I think we think a lot about that as a board, and think about different opportunities that we can have folks engage in that. And I would say, you know, I think we are in the place too where we are starting to expand our reach. I think more people know about us through newer programs like the institutional reps. We've really reached out into community colleges. We used to be really based in four-year institutions. Now we have lots of community college members. So yeah, I think our membership is continuing to grow. And with that, the diversity of experiences and identities that's represented within that membership is also starting to increase as well. I don't know if other folks have things to add.
That was great.
Perfect.
I think that was a perfect summary. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for answering.
Any other questions?
We'll give it another minute so you can type in questions, but I just wanted to let you know I'll be sending out this webinar recording to everybody who registered, and we'll be sharing it. So please share it with colleagues who you think you would also like to encourage. Please run for the board. Please apply. We're super excited about it to welcome new folks to the board and see what direction you all take us in. And with that, I just wanted to thank you for giving up part of your lunch hour, and thanks. See you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.